How good to be here. Thank you, everybody, for joining us again. My name is Kathy and Elisa, and we are in the heart of the Tenderloin. We're a wellness and leadership development center, the Healing Well is. And as Paul mentioned, we work with people who are living on the streets, living in parks, living in shelters, as well as people who are in single room occupancy hotels and, kind of all over the place. But the heart of the people with whom we work are either unhoused or quite marginally housed in San Francisco. And I think what we can do, this is the proper way of spelling your name, right? Did I get it right with the I? Forgive me for getting that wrong in the beginning, Elisa. But I think maybe how we can begin is to just give you a little bit of a sense of how we were drawn into this work at the Healing Well with people who are unhoused and marginally housed. It's quite a gift and an honor. My background, and I'm the founder and the director of the Healing Well. We just founded it 9 years ago, 2015, with a powerful group of people from the neighborhood. Um, I was working at a wellness center south of Market prior to coming and founding the Healing Well. I'd been recruited to do that. As a community organizer, I did a lot of work with immigrants and refugees, as well as people who are involved in the criminal justice system. And I was with an organization, and someone came to me and said, "Hey, Kath, they're really looking for somebody who can run this wellness center." And I thought, run a wellness center? It sounds kind of fluffy. You're working with people who are unhoused or quite marginally housed, and you're leading yoga classes or poetry. Um, shouldn't you be helping them find housing and get food and pursue education and jobs, right? Kind of the obvious stuff. Wayne, you and I were talking earlier about the Maslow's hierarchy, right? Let's get the fundamental stuff of keeping people alive. Within just checking it out in the very beginning, I realized how narrow my thinking was. Everybody, regardless of our state in life and life circumstance, needs wellness. We need the skills to be able to cope with the stress and the trauma in our lives, particularly if we're living in an especially stressful situation and have grappled with an awful lot of trauma. We all need self awareness and self understanding, not only so that we can identify and be prepared to cope with our triggers, but also to be able to tap into our strengths and our hopes and our dreams so that we can pursue them, right? I want to be more than my greatest problem. I want to be more than my weakness. I want to be more than my limitation. And so by offering wellness programs, we get to do that and we let people find who they are, right? So it's an ability to cope with stress, it's self-awareness, and it's a profound and deep sense of community. I want to know that there are people who are walking this journey with me, who are dedicated to trying to help themselves as they grapple with their struggles. And in the Tenderloin, the vast majority of the people with whom we work are struggling with substance use disorders and mental health challenges and significant poverty and homelessness and things like that, right? So I want to be with other people who are also trying to move forward amidst those struggles, right? And so that sense of community and positive relationship is really, really important. So, quick story then is just to say, I learned very early on that I need as a human, all of us do, a whole lot more than just a room to sleep in, a job to go to, right? I need to be connected. I need positive things. I need some hope and some dreams. And Elisa, you've recently become involved with the Healing Well, several months, right? Do you want to
Yeah.
talk about what drew you in, how your story a little bit?
I've been involved with the Healing Well for I'd say almost a year, a little less than a year. I was brought there by a friend of mine. I was under a lot of stress in a very poorly maintained SRO. I had to leave it because of black mold. The maintenance was terrible, and I needed somewhere to calm my stress, calm my anxiety, still my mind. And a lot of the times, like, we don't know where to go to, how to run to, and meditation isn't exactly easy. So what's wonderful about the Healing Well is they provide many different forms to meditate, to be creative, to humanize one another, because the tenderloin, the minute you think tenderloin, we think, oh my god, someone's gonna steal from me, someone might stab me, someone, or we just see someone, and we think, oh, it's just the guy in the corner who drinks or who's using. But when you bring them into this space, it's a completely different view. It's chaotic outside. You come into the piece, you get to know each other, you get to humanize each other.
We can show you a few pictures that will give you a bit of a sense of what we're doing inside the Healing Well. We're directly across the street from YWAM, and I know you're very familiar with YWAM and are partnering with them, so it's really exciting. Um, this is just overall, and I'm not going to spend a bunch of time on it, but just essentially our mission, right? Building healing and leadership within the community so that together we may create a brighter future for all those who call the Tenderloin their home. And our acronym for the Healing Well, wellness, empowerment, liberation, and love. And maybe what I'll do, Elisa, is kind of run through some of the pictures,
Mhm.
and then you can talk about the classes and the sessions that you most love.
Oh,
Is that okay?
gladly,
So I'll just
gladly.
just again to give you a little bit of an overview, right? So we offer things like yoga and meditation. Elisa and I this morning were in a Tai Chi class on Golden
Yes.
Gate Avenue, right on the street. We have gentle movement classes, drawing people of all different backgrounds. Um,
Art
Creative expression,
exploration.
super
Yes.
important. Let me see. Yeah, we have a lot of support groups, women's support groups, recovery support groups. Talk a little bit about support groups
Oh,
you
the
go
women's
to.
support group. Oh, pardon. The women's support group is great. It's a group of ladies. We get together. We talk about our ups and downs during our day. We support each other, listen to each other, you know, talk about what we're grateful for. It's sometimes as women, we try to connect with other people, try to, get different perspective. But when you get a few women in a room together that are going through similar things, it creates a sense of community. It creates a sense of like, oh, someone cares, someone can relate. So we offer each other like options and solutions and what how we can cope with things. It's a great alternative to whatever is out there. It's a great way to, and every group starts off with a small meditation, like a 10-minute meditation, which is very great because we can center ourselves, calm ourselves without getting hectic and aggressive and just frazzled. It's a great way to support each other.
We were talking coming over here. I had a super stressful morning where the Healing Well is in the midst of massive construction right now. So we are offering our programs in 17 different locations throughout the Tenderloin. And there's a lot of management in that and all the staff that we need for it. And a couple challenges arose. And I was just like, and today is just our second day doing it. And I went out to the Tai Chi class because I just wanted to kind of see what was going on. That's an outside class, and it was so grounding and helpful. And you're staying in a shelter right now and talked
Yeah.
about what it did for you. And
Yeah.
this, yeah,
What it did to me is, having to leave that very, very poorly maintained, very dangerous SRO with the lack of not the window not being fixed, being propped, having to breathe in all that mold. I just said, screw it, I'm going into the shelter. But it has provided a great way to distract myself from all the problems, a great way to center myself, to get to know other like minded people, to, be able to connect, relax, de stress, and, connect with everyone else and find other resources, find ways to direct each other and get to know each other. And it's a great place to do so because you're in a great mindset, and it's a great distraction for those people who are on the street. It gives them a great alternative instead of going out to use, like, hey, how about try an improv class, get a little silly, be something else, be someone else for a change, or try a yoga class. If it's done often enough, it actually helps reduce the substance use. And it hearing other people's stories and connecting with other people, it gives me a sense of hope, and it shows me like there's always someone who has it worse, but even if they have it worse, they find a way out, or they find, they are knowledgeable of something. And it just helps us be kinder to each other, be less aggressive to each other, be, you know it's all just a sense of that human connection, and that's really all we're hoping for, all we're searching for, instead of just being scared of each other all the time and trying to pull one over each other all the time. And I think it's a great way to like occupy your time instead of harming yourself.
And I think it's that holistic healing, right? That we can address our own challenges and tap into our own strengths, but also help make the neighborhood a better place. Just want to show, on top of a lot of different programs that we offer on site and out in the community, we also have regular field trips, healing through nature classes. Once a month, we go really cool places, hopping on ferry boats to Angel Island or out to the beach for kite flying.
Yeah.
Lake Merced, we joined a big walk in support of people who were unhoused to raise some funding. And just, whatever, whether the group is 5 people or 25 people, we do it. And it's wonderful. I just wanted to show you these are the classes that we're offering off site. And, everything from walk run therapy to Zumba. You're good at Zumba
Oh, I love
or
Zumba.
improv storytelling. You got to join that, Anne Marie. Drum circle, meditation, sound healing, and sound baths. Just an array of things. So somebody will try something. They like it, they'll come back. They don't like it, they might try something else. Cornerstone to what we offer are our recovery support groups because that's people need to come together. They want to talk about those steps. They want to offer wisdom to one another and support and accountability too. Um, the other thing, a few other things, and then we'll see if
Yeah.
people have questions. I think right? Uh, all humans need loving touch. And that is one of the profound things that is missing in the lives of many people who are staying in the Tenderloin. Touching people with gentleness and respect is foundational, right? So we offer each week, we do a coffee hour and muffins and breakfast and things like that. But we have a couple nurses who come in and they do foot massage. We have a room dedicated to healing touch and Reiki. And those appointments fill up because people need to be touched and loved and physically cared for too. Um, we have special events. So we have special workshops. We did a self-defense workshop. There's a very large Yemeni refugee community in the Tenderloin, and we are trying to figure out a way for the healing well to be a safe spot for especially the women to gather so we can cover our windows and we can close all of our open areas and the women are able to take off their hijabs and engage in different safe activities and forge community as well. So we do special workshops. This flower arranging workshop was actually organized by one of the men who lives in our neighborhood. And so we really try to tap into the talents and the skills of the people in our neighborhood. Sephora, you'll see the little black and white bags there. They donated a bunch of makeup kits for us. And so we did a pampering afternoon for women. Again, just kind of different ways to draw people in. Asma, delivers food for, I'll talk about that in just a moment. Um, just, I wanted we wanted to include this film because a lot of people don't realize the diversity in our neighborhood, right? It is the point of entry for immigrants and refugees in San Francisco. So, very large Yemeni refugee and Arabic speaking community, very large Chinese community, especially senior citizens, really large Spanish speaking population, Filipinos population. It is the most densely populated neighborhood in San Francisco with the highest concentration of children and senior citizens. And most people don't realize that. When you think of the Tenderloin, you think of all the adults who are hanging out in the streets. Look up, notice all those tall buildings, and ask yourself who's living in those buildings. It's people like this. And those are the people that we are working with as well. Ah, thought you would like this. Yeah. Did you come to this? Were you at the
Oh
ice
yes,
cream
I was
social?
there.
Talk
Yeah.
about it. This is with
Oh, the
this is
ice
with
cream
y'all know Nikita.
social.
But yeah,
The ice cream social was such a pleasure to work with. Everybody showed up. They came in. They had some ice cream with all the toppings. All they got to know each other. Got to color. Got to hang out. You know, that's one of those things. It's like whenever they have barbecues, whenever they have our hospitality hour, it gives everybody a chance to know each other, to relax, to unwind, to feel like people. It was a great time. I really enjoyed working at that event. Everybody's smile on their face. All they need is ice cream. It brightens up your day a little bit better.
We do Friday fun. So there's karaoke on Friday afternoons. The Elks Club comes out once a month and they barbecue 200
Yeah.
hot dogs. And we're going to start up bingo again and just things like that. Community building and fun together. We all need fun. Um, Special meals we have a group of people called the Healing Well Friends, and they organize particular meals for us. They barbecued 300 ribs a few weeks ago, and that was a great
Yeah.
feast. There's a Friendsgiving feast. There's a
And we
crab
have the
fest in
karaoke.
January. Just a lot of different things. We set up the tables and try to make it lovely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, this was a holiday meal, and we just wanted to show you a place setting. We go out of our way to let people experience beauty. So pull out the china, put some nice flowers on that table, and serve good food.
It's
Um,
amazing what a little gathering will do to get to people. You put in a little food,
yep.
and it only takes that. Bring in a little ice cream, a little barbecue here and there, and you bring them together. They get to know each other. They start to party. They start to stabilize themselves. And it's not so much they may come for the food, but they stay for the company.
I see Paul standing, which means we need to start to wrap up, do we? Oh, I beg your pardon?
You get it close to where people can ask questions.
Perfect. Can we just do a couple more things and then questions is great. Yeah, thank you. Thanks. So I put this up because Elisa just graduated from our Spanish speaking leadership cohort. So here she is with her certificate and getting a present. And I'll just show you a couple pictures. It was focused on nutrition and healthy eating. And this was a different cohort. And the focus of this was hospitality. But Elisa, do you want to talk about your experience with the leadership cohort?
My experience with the leadership cohort was based mostly on self care, on eating good nutrition, learning how to make nutritious meals, learning providing self care methods for you, learning how to calm yourself, learning how to, cope with everyone around, and how to take care of your community and focused on what we can do for the community itself. But they also offered Narcan training, because unfortunately there is a lot of substance abuse in the area. So we always make sure to carry Narcan and make sure to, they taught us how to check to see if people are unconscious before we start just pumping their nose. So this is very helpful because then we can save someone's life, but we can't take care of anybody unless we take care of ourselves.
Elisa went through that 11-week program, and that's why
Mhm.
she's now positioned to come out and do some of the public speaking. And she is the support person for some of our offsite classes and things like that. So we're constantly developing leadership because it's the people who are from the neighborhood who have the lived experience who are the real healers, right? Um, and I think, we use our space for community gatherings, right? So we've had the different mayoral candidates come in and speak. This is Daniel Lurie, Aaron Peskin, different people have been coming out. It's a stunning space in the Tenderloin. So memorials, right? How important it is to be able to gather, right? We look at the Healing Well, it's our programs, it's our people, and it's our beautiful space. So let's make that available for the Tenderloin in whatever capacity is needed. Um, Outside events, you can see YWAM a little bit across the street. So we do a lot out on the street. Drum Circle, right? Lens positivity. Um, Classes right there on the street. Do you see Tim in the upper corner? You know Tim from YWAM, the founder of YWAM. But yeah, this is right in front of the Healing Well. Uh, Barbecues that we have with those, you can't miss those cute little dogs. And we lead a lot of classes in different SRO hotels, music. I'm going to whip through these. We do a lot. Yeah. Thanks. You're right. Thanks. Um, we partner a lot with other community organizations who know for their staff members, for their clients as well, that wellness is essential. So they ask us to come out and lead workshops and sessions and things like this. So this was the St. Anthony Foundation, similar to Glide, which is on our block. They serve hundreds and hundreds of meals every day. So they asked us to come out and lead some gentle movement for their staff. Um, Another outside program, we do a lot of community fairs. This is Christy. You can just see in her face the calm, right? And then I want to wrap up this part before questions kick in with just kind of an array of who's in our community. We celebrate Carolyn. She's on staff. Boy, did she work hard to get her BA in May. Fought like a dog for years and years to get through City College, to get the classes that she needed at State. Um, in the midst of being unhoused, living in a rough SRO hotel, living in a really another hard place. And she's finally now living out at Park Merced with a BA and doing awesome things, co-facilitating our women's support group and doing a lot of administrative work for us. But we get to celebrate her. We get to celebrate Michael Kennedy, who stays on the street in a doorway, but that guy, he makes us laugh and smile, and he shows up quite faithfully for our recovery support groups because he needs it, he wants it, and he is very much at our core. And I love this picture of Tony and Ebony. And just, it's about love. It's about relationship. It's about being together. And yeah, you are worthy of love. Every one of us is. So just kind of look at the background of who we are and what we're about. We can talk about that in just a minute. But yeah, so maybe you probably have some questions of us. Any questions at all, or Paul?
So just in your experience, do people come to the recovery events first, or do they come after some of the social events? Do you find what's the door opening event that gets them engaged?
That's a good question.
For me, it was the classes, like the other classes. For me, I went to the yoga classes, started going to the yoga class, the Zumba class first, and there was the recovery group one day, and my friend was like, "Well, do you want to try it?" And I said yes because I am a year clean from alcohol. Thank you. Um, I started going to the recovery group and I felt very comfortable with these people there. Everybody sharing their story, everybody being very compassionate and understanding towards each other. And I really enjoyed this group because everybody, like all the groups, it always starts with a small meditation. It doesn't focus on religion, it's open to everyone. They respect everybody's views, everybody's religious um, belief, and I really enjoyed it because everybody there was very compassionate, very supportive, and non-judgmental, which was most important. But it's usually, I feel, it's the classes, because if a certain class draws your interest, like whether it be art exploration or you like to dance or you like to act, it's going to, draw you in. And that's how it was for me, and that's when I realized, I kept it in the back burner because I was drinking so much. And when I came in and I opened up, I realized, okay, well, maybe I need to start quitting. I need to stop drinking so much. And anytime I feel like having a drink, I'll go either to a recovery group there or somewhere else. But I always come back because it keeps me distracted. It keeps me, coping in a much healthier way.
And
So
Paul, if
that's
I
awesome.
I'll follow up on your question. Some people are referred to us, right? We work really closely with other organizations, and so a lot of times people say go to the Healing Well for their poetry class or go to the Healing Well for a recovery group. So that happens. More than that, it's word of mouth, right? Somebody mentioned that group
Yeah.
to you, which is why you came. And also, we are very intentional about opening up our space for for events that would let anybody in regardless of how they're doing, and so come on in for coffee, and you walk in and you think, oh my God, this is a beautiful space. These people are nice and they look like me. And so when they are in a position to come back for a particular session that would last for an hour, then they come for it. So it's through referral, it's through just coming through the door for something that's pretty open. Um, and then most importantly, it's word of mouth. Yeah, yeah.
I think my voice is loud enough. Oh, okay. I didn't know I was getting recorded. All right. Big brother at work. I have, first of all, thank you for coming. I'm kind of new, but I have two questions. One, do you have medical professionals on staff to check people, for the high blood pressure, diabetes, So that it's people coming through, nutrition, things like that. That's the first question. And then the second one is maybe like buses to bring people out to places like this, to remove them from the Tenderloin and maybe have them walk the grounds here and see some of the beauty of San Francisco's. Because to be blunt, that's what keeps me here. It's like I feel like every day I can go to a different part of the city and experience something new and beautiful. So thanks.
I love your questions. Thanks. And I'll go to the first one because it's fresh on my mind. So at this point, we do not have our own private transportation. We use public transit, or we use, ride services. We do have, we would like, I mean, we need funding, sure, or access to it because we have this healing through at least once a month, but generally more often than that. We have healing through nature sessions. And so we take people out of the Tenderloin and they go, sometimes they go across the bay, sometimes they go up to Muir Woods, sometimes they go kite flying at the beach, or they're going up to McLaren Park in a couple weeks. Have you gone on any of the field trips?
I went on a couple. I did the one to, I think it was either Antioch or Alameda. And we
Alameda.
did artwork, and we were out taking pictures of the squirrels over
Yeah.
by the river. It was
Yeah.
a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah. So it's just you. I 100% agree with you. And right now, we just do it through the bus, and we buy people their little cards, and off we go, or we'll buy or we'll pay for it. So that is sure. If we had the funding, that would be easier for us.
Like buses and drivers to do
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah, you speak to how important it is to spread the word, right? Because we can share ideas and resources. So that's super helpful. And I just we took a group on an overnight camping trip and went river rafting, and it was a blast. To your other question about medical staff, so we have different nurses. I don't think we have any physicians, but we have nurses who volunteer with us. We have regular trainings for the staff and the leaders around health issues, but we rely very heavily on our partners. When someone is not doing well, we're calling Tom Waddell Clinic, or we're calling different places and getting people to come over. And some of that is, while it would be in some sense make sense to be the one-stop shop, we don't need to be everything. We need to focus on who we are and what we're about, and then be very closely aligned to our community partners who can complement what we're up to with their area of expertise. So we have the fundamental training, and then we turn to people. Yeah.
So when people are in need of like identification or other services or getting registered, is that something you help with? Do you direct them to places? Is that something that you can?
We direct them to places like Glide. Glide helps them with vouchers to get their identification, or if they need to get or lead them to resources if they need a birth certificate. So we don't provide that, but we do point the finger like, hey, go to Glide. Glide can help you with that, or we could point them out to medical facilities if they need. But as far as identification cards, driver's licenses, and birth certificate, you we send them over to Glide. We refer them there.
We are very intentional about having our hospitality staff, so the people who are in the lobby greeting people, they are of and from the community. They have lived this. They know what works. They know what's there and what's not. In every one of our classes, we have a teacher, yes, but we also have a support person. Again, it's somebody who has lived and worked in that or lived and experienced that neighborhood. So when somebody says, I'm really struggling around immigration, or what shelter can take me, or whatever it is, somebody is in there who can guide them. Yeah.
In terms of like the recovery, are those your recovery programs? Do you work with the community to bring recovery groups to your group? How does that work?
We offer a specific recovery support group 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and that's followed up by lunch. It is not a traditional AA, NA group. We read from the book and we talk about the steps, but we are not a recovery program. We actively encourage people. We know about all the programs that are in the city, in the area, and we would refer them to them. So what's different about our group, and it speaks to what you were saying, Elisa, is that we take people where they are. You're coming into that group, you are interested at least in recovery, in living a healthier life. And so you're talking with people, and then afterward you might be like, I think I need a sponsor. Okay, let us connect you to this group where you can pursue a sponsor. And certainly we would know some too. But I'm glad that you asked that, Paul. We are not a recovery center. We're a wellness center, and we support people where they are. And some people who have said to us, I'm glad to come to this because I'm not ready to be in a group, because sometimes I feel pressured to work this step, to get the sponsor. I'm not ready for that. So I'm glad to be able to work on my recovery in something that's a little gentler, and then I'll step forward as I need to.
I'm really excited about your working with the whole person. And it's been something that I've wanted to hear for a long time, which is that you're a pre-recovery recovery center. And you're getting the people who are interested but are not there yet, but giving them the hope and love they need to take the next step. So my question's far more practical than that, although that's very practical, obviously, which is, where's your funding source? Is it the city, or is it, um, how do you fund this?
Right. We rely on individual donations and foundation grants. So we do not have public contracts with the city or the state or the feds. It's all from individual donors and foundations. So we have a fundraiser coming up actually this weekend, and I'm going to talk about it in a minute because it's going to be super interesting and good. We're showing a cool film, and I'll talk about that. But yeah, actually, no one's allowed to leave here until they pull out their checkbooks. And you had a question back there as well.
Yes, thanks so much for the presentation. I'm curious about your vision for what impact you'd like to see Healing Well do over the course of the next like 5 years, 10 years, whether that's impact metrics of different lives changed or different things established for a better future.
I love that question too. And it's tougher, right? Because you saw we focus so much on just loving the people and relationship building. And that is what is at the core. Um, but yeah, we need to have a strategic plan, and we need to have a vision. I love that you're sitting right here, Anne Marie. When our advisory board met last year, we talked about what our different priorities were. And one of the biggest priorities was, as we want to help heal the Tenderloin as a whole. And that is going to require a real collective effort. Let us start with the block that we are on, Ellis Street, the 300 block of Ellis. We will partner closely with YWAM. We will partner closely with Glide. We're the 3 service providers on that block. And that block is unique because there are a lot of people who go there who are unhoused, and there are a lot of people who reside there too. And so we are figuring out, how do we partner with one another to make that block, which historically has been a pretty rough block with a pretty rough reputation, how do we make that block be a beacon of positive activity and beauty and hope? And so in response then to your question, I'm going to say our vision over the next 5 years is to contribute to the healing of the neighborhood as a whole. That's a real global statement. The Healing Well is uniquely positioned because we work very actively with people who are unhoused and people who are marginally housed. One of the tough things about our neighborhood, I'll tell you, is that there's almost a divide between advocates and providers for people who are living in SRO hotels and people who are working for people who are unhoused, right? It's like, you cannot conduct a sweep and just push these people away and take away their tents and throw away all their stuff. That is disrespectful and dehumanizing, and you may not do it. And we also have people who say, this is unacceptable. This is a senior citizen in a wheelchair, and she can't get past this stuff in order to access the food that she needs. Ne'er the twain shall meet, right? It can meet at the Healing Well because we work with both communities, and so we bring people together. So that is our longer term goal. In the immediate, what we pay close attention to is like Elisa's story. So she comes in for one group. Does she come in for other groups? Does Elisa regularly return? Does Elisa then step into our leadership cohort? After the leadership cohort, does Elisa volunteer in this way? Does she get a job there? So we're looking at things like that. It's on an individual and a collective level. But I'm going to say again, this notion of being a silo and being able to pull it off yourself doesn't work. We need, as a community, as the Tenderloin, to forge relationships with all of our partner organizations, and each one of us offer our gifts. And the Healing Well is uniquely positioned to do that. Yeah.
I love what you're saying. I love collaboration, working together. I love that vision of healing the neighborhood. So I have a kind of a follow-up to that. What like data are you collecting to hold yourself and ideally the partners that you're working with? I mean, we're obviously huge fans of the two organizations you mentioned, and Tim and YWAM, known them forever. What data are you collecting to, hold yourselves accountable? Are we reaching those metrics? Are we moving towards healing? Like I see, anyways, that's the question.
I like it. And you're challenging me in that question. The data that we're collecting right now is our increasing numbers of people who are coming through the doors and increased participation. That tells us we're doing something and making a difference. But the challenge in what you're raising is we need help with that. We need people who are able to say, this is a good thing to measure. Here is a measurement tool. We will support you in using it and do it. So we track some of the more obvious things, and we know because our numbers are increasing, because in this experience of this month, when we had to move off site, our emails exploded with requests from different organizations and locations saying, please offer your stuff here. We need you. So we know that we're making a difference. And that's an important metric. But can there be more? Yes, there can. But that is, I don't have, as the director, I don't have anybody on staff or even on our board at this juncture whose specialty, whose real expertise is in that area. So if you know somebody, or if you're free afterward, let's chat. Yeah. And I'm being straight up with you. We need help. We do some stuff. We know we're making a difference, but it can certainly be better.
So next week, we have the chief data officer of San Francisco coming in to speak about what kind of data makes sense to track. How do we work together collaboratively? What's it going to look like, and what stories can it tell us?
Right.
So that'd be great next week.
Yeah.
Like what matrix, like starting from the big picture, if we're going to heal in 5 years, we're going to heal the Tenderloin, and we're going to start with the block that we're on. What does that look like? What does that mean? Like, and how can we get our heads around what would be the track? How do we track them? And also, what are the causes that are driving it? Because are we, emptying we're not stopping the leak, but we're emptying it out, but it's going to fill up faster than we can empty it out. Like, how can we understand all that?
So and I think we're only brainstorming here, and we'll talk more, but is there less garbage on the street? Are there fewer altercations? Are there, flower pots around? Are there, is there interchange between people who are living in these buildings and people who are on the street receiving food? There's a number of different things that we can look at, and I appreciate what you're saying. Look at the big picture. How do we measure that it really is making a difference? Yeah. Yeah, let me look and see if I can. I would like to. That definitely registered in my brain when the intro happened.
We'd love to have you next week. That would be great.
Yeah.
So I have a question. In recent weeks, there's been a big push to clean up and to sweep the streets themselves. The 300 block has been getting more compressed.
Yeah.
Because it's one of the areas that doesn't get swept, but people can retreat to. Are you guys seeing an increase in visitors? And what is your everyday in and out? Like how many people a day, a week are you kind of interacting with?
For our programming itself, we probably have, if you look at all our different, individual sessions, I bet we have about 125 different people a week who would be involved in our program, some of it on site, some of it off site. Then we have our big events, right? So for hospitality morning, we'd have 100 people coming through. And is our block looking more challenging? Yeah, it is. It is. And I don't, Elisa, do you want to speak to your experience on the street?
Well, yes, people definitely getting tougher, especially with the fentanyl outbreak. People, you see a lot more people, more overdoses, more people bent down. People, when they're coming down, get a little bit iffy. Depends on, like, if they're on coming down from amphetamines, they get a little stressed out, maybe even a little violent. I've seen people get beaten in the line for dinner at Glide, because the other guy broke into their house. It's a pretty rough area, and I feel like having a wellness center that focuses on socializing in a meditative way is very helpful because it can help mediate a lot of problems and it can help decrease some of the aggression that is going on outside.
And I think the final thing that I'll say, and then probably we need to have a couple minutes for this, but um, this is long haul work, right? We want the change to be tomorrow. Um, and it's going to happen by the building of trust and relationships and bringing people together and bringing the best brains together and are really exceptionally good things happening on the 300 block of Ellis Street? Absolutely, yes, largely because of the efforts of YWAM and Glide and the Healing Well. And can that be built on even more? Yes, but it's going to happen if and only if there is strong collaboration. So I'm really grateful for what's happening in with the outreach DAO, with the recovery DAO, with all of them is terrific. Yeah. Yep.
I love how, you guys are like the pre-outreach, pre-recovery recovery. That's brilliant. Yeah.
Really good term.
He's giving that away so you can you can start using it in your branding. I mean, I think it's needed and it's lovely. How do you deal with some of the challenging things like do people use on your, on your site, or how do you handle those?
Our simple thing is you are welcome to come into a group as long as you are able to participate and your participation doesn't in any way interfere with another person's ability to participate. So if I come into a recovery support group and I'm like throwing stuff around, I'm off, then somebody is gently going to walk up, one of our support people, and say, "Today is not your day." And we are not. We're also quite practical. So we've been trained in de-escalation, and for our large gatherings, we have people who are ensuring safety, who are there. They're actively trained in de-escalation. They stand on both sides of the room. They monitor our bathroom, how many minutes somebody is in there. And if somebody is in more than 5 minutes, there's a knock on the door that says 1 more minute, and then we're going to key in. So we have to be practical, right? There are real challenges there, but we do it with a lot of love and respect. Absolutely. It's the people who they know what to watch for. They know what to watch for and they know how to be and it is pretty unusual for us to have trouble inside because we are known. The people who come in know what they're coming in for and what they're going to experience, but sometimes something does arise and we respond.
So how can we get involved? How can we help you?
So there's a couple of things, and one thing I wanted to alert people to is this upcoming Sunday afternoon at the Roxy Theater in the Mission District at 16th and Valencia, we are putting on a fundraiser for the Healing Well. We're going to be showing the film Home is a Hotel, which won a ton of awards. I've seen it now twice. It is beautiful, and it focuses on 5 different people and families who are living in single room occupancy hotels. And it is about kind of their creativity and their stamina and their resourcefulness and their generosity that allowed them to get through this experience and move into more secure housing. So we're going to be showing that film at the Roxy on Sunday. And that's going to be followed by a panel with some of our participant leaders and then a nice reception. What I would love right now is to show you the trailer for that film to kind of turn you on so that you'll come, and then invite you to come to that event. And then I have a little bit of a slide that just shows other ways you can be involved. The trailer is brief, it's just a couple minutes. So the event is called Healing Hearts Finding Home. Um, and it's going to be a gorgeous afternoon. And let me see if I can pull this off. Jude, I might need you. Do I push this button on this black thing? Yep. Okay. So it's brief, but it's a lovely film. Yep.
My house is probably about the size of your normal cubicle. No kitchen, bathroom in the hallway. It's called a single room occupancy SRO hotel.
You got to eat in this room. You got to bathe in this room. You got to work in this room. You have to live your whole life in this room.
嗰段時間咧，佢唔想翻屋企啊。我問佢點解，佢就話：我哋屋企好細啊，冇地方玩啊。點解啊，媽咪？Lisa，如果你話一個新移民嚟到，所以咧佢唯一嘅選擇咧，只能夠喺散房入邊。
No matter where I go, housing is cheaper, but minimum wage is lower. So it's still the same.
You know, I mean, it's still a blessing because I definitely didn't have anywhere else to go. So
Yo la idea que yo tengo es que simplemente con que tiendan la cama ya se ve que está todo bien.
I made up some words this weekend. The one I came up with was the suplexorcist. That's the art of kicking your own inner demon's ass.
Everyone knows that you were acting in self-defense. If you don't get a decent offer, then we have to take it to trial.
For me, being a recovering addict, it hurts me to know that my kid don't needle. You know, when I was a kid, it was like squirrel.
my daughter, she ran away from a residential treatment facility. The longer I don't have housing that fits all of us, the longer she stays out in the streets. We literally have to become millionaires, I guess.
It took me so much to live in an SRO. You're trying when you're living in SRO.
These are some of the very people with whom we work at the Healing Well, who are at YWAM, who are living in the Tenderloin. It is a powerful film. So if you are interested and available, please, you could just scan this QR code and come out to it and learn about this community and support the Healing Well. It's an important fundraiser for us. We also have a donor who was able to purchase some extra tickets. So if it is too prohibitive to purchase a ticket, let us know. We have a sign-up sheet right here, and we can give you a comped ticket. It's going to be a powerful afternoon. So that is one concrete way, Paul, that people can be involved and learn much more, not only about the community that the Healing Well serves, but San Francisco. And I'm telling you, it is a powerful and beautiful film. In addition to that, I wrote this one up, and there's more than that. But if you are interested, following up, boy, could we use some help looking at data and matrix and measurements of success and things like that. So if you're interested in that realm, let me know. If you want to help us flesh out our thinking around pre-recovery recovery groups, for real. The reason why this organization works is because we have so much volunteer involvement. We need a lot of different wellness session facilitators. The more teachers we have, the more we can offer. We are in particular need right now. If you or you know anybody who might be able to lead a weekly art class or who would be interested in leading a recovery support group, those are high priorities for us. But if you're interested in, a dance class or a yoga or things like that, there's a lot of interest. People come in and do special sessions, so you could offer special sessions. We use volunteers who come in for our different meals and mornings and things like that. So hospitality, preparing foods, special event support. If you have ideas on field trips, if you want to accompany us on field trips, if you want to get us a Greyhound bus. The other thing, we need help with marketing for real. So if you know people who could create our brochures outdated, we need some good posters. We need a good video. Our video is old. That's on our website. We do gift drives. We have a great big party over the holidays. And so if you ever want to do some sort of a drive with a group that you have, a congregation, or as House of Web3, we are actively looking to spread the word, right? So if you're part of a book club, if you're part, again, of a congregation, or if there are more opportunities where we could come and speak, let us know, because this is a unique and powerful way to approach healing on an individual and a collective level. So the more we can get the word out, the better. And then the other thing too, we have a gorgeous, great big space. And one creative way that we can generate some revenue is, having it be rented out in the evenings, on the weekends, whatever it is that we're not using it. So if you would be interested in something like that. And honestly, this was kind of a late night list that I pulled together. So there would be other ways too. If you're interested, I imagine you've got something that we could use. And you had another question. I thought I saw your hand back there, but I could be wrong. Yeah, yeah. Right. It would be, we have that, and like you can speak to the power of dance, right, and Zumba. Yeah.
Of course, everybody comes over to pardon me. Everybody comes over to Zumba. You dance around, you sweat it out, you get the toxins out, and you instantly release a lot of endorphins. And it's a good way to like work out, stay fit, and it's like you're partying but without the substances. Um, I don't believe they've had ballet. I think the closest thing to ballet is maybe the yoga class, but that's more working out and like meditation.
Right.
But I don't know. I think a lot of people would benefit from that because
I
there's
think-
a lot of talent in the
Right.
Tenderloin, and there's a lot of people who you wouldn't think have a background in it. So I don't think that would be a horrible idea at all. I think that could it could show you what bal- ballerinas are out there, hey, it can make them reminisce from their childhood and maybe make them slowly.
We work with adults right now. There's a totally different insurance thing that we would have to cover in order to get young people into, although there is some interest in that. So we're exploring that possibility. But for sure, let me underscore what Elisa just said. A dance class, we had somebody who came in and did, no kidding, basket weaving. I mean, any particular, for sure we need people who would come in and say, let's talk about balancing your budget or something. I mean, right there's an array. These are talented people, and also people who are curious and in need too. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, wonderful program. I like that you're right there where it's happening, and I think that's a great value as well. So on your classes or sessions, are they all like leisure oriented, or do you have also like classes like skills, like so they can learn some skills, like some ideas that came to mind, like I don't know, they could learn how to do, I don't know, AutoCAD or Photoshop, or some easy to use software, or just use email and some basic things on like using the internet and searching and just learning some skills that are useful for like VAs, like virtual assistants and things like that.
So again, that could be a special thing that's offered. What you raised reminds me, in about a week and a half, we're going to be working with a senior community that's just kitty corner for us on Ellis Street, largely Chinese-speaking seniors. And we're going to be having the Harvest Moon Festival, but we're going to be having a table there for tech, because people need to know how to use the translation things on their phone, right? Or they need to know how to expand the font so they can read it. So there's very basic things like that. But what you're suggesting is something even more. So there are nonprofits in the Tenderloin that teach coding or teach programming, but um, but but there is space and there is room for all of us to be contributing to it. And so, how do I answer your question? Um, what we take what is offered if it fits with what we're doing, and if someone needs something and we don't offer it, we know who to send people to. But like we were talking to Redwood Credit Union, can you do something with us helping people balance their budget and shop, more frugally and things like that? So we'll tie in our participant leaders with people who have real expertise in budgeting and accounting and things like that. I'm not doing justice to your question, but I hope what I'm saying is we welcome skills. We welcome gifts. We welcome kind of the standard, obvious stuff that we would think about wellness. And if we're not able to use what someone would offer, we would certainly know who we could guide you to. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm certainly thankful. I got that one back. Thankful for you coming down here and sharing it. I think of two stories I want to just kind of share with you. First is Tenderloin Connect came in here a few weeks ago, and they're just getting started with getting into the SROs. I would love to see them share more about the wellness.
Absolutely.
Making sure that people are extended invitations to come and find a place that's quiet out there.
I love it.
So I will connect you with the Connect
William,
Tenderloin
did you-
group.
yeah.
For sure. They would love to kind of be an extension of that. The other thing is, what kind of talent comes out of the SROs? So we have the CEO of Lau Family. I don't know if you get a chance to meet Kathy Shaw Rothberg, but as a 6-year-old immigrant, she lived in the Tenderloin. She kind of went to school and got educated. She was the mayor of San Pablo. She's now kind of running one of the largest nonprofits in the Oakland area and across 6 different. And all she does now is she rededicates her life to helping people find their way back on their feet. But amazing things can come out of the SRO when we invest in the Tenderloin area. It can be an amazing gift for revitalizing the city.
It absolutely is, right? We take our talents and our pain and our struggles and we translate it into making ourselves and that world a better place. Look at what you're doing. Look at what you're doing, Elisa, right? In so many ways.
The last question.
So a follow-up about, you said you're I don't know if you currently rent your space, but you're open to renting your space. So I have a couple thoughts. One, like, would you have space to, like, let's say there's another nonprofit who's very aligned with you and they need an office space. Would you have enough space to rent, to like have a long-term lease with someone like that?
Right. The answer to that, surprisingly, is yes. And it's because we only recently moved into this space, and we went from 900 square feet to 4,500 square feet. And so we have 2 offices right now that are not being used at all. And so, so there are a couple nonprofits that are closely aligned to us that are talking with us about, hey, could we do that? But if you know
I have one
others,
more to introduce you to. Another thought is another friend we'd love to introduce you to, Love Never Fails, Vanessa Russell. I'm on the board of that organization.
Wow.
They do amazing work helping victims of human trafficking.
Mm-hmm.
But we have an IT Biz Academy that trains at-risk people in tech jobs.
Wow.
That would be another one that could run a class out of there, and not just do a class, but they could very easily, plug and play, put a whole school there.
I love it. I didn't have the luxury a year and a half ago to be able to say we have I used to be able to say we have programs and we have people to help heal this neighborhood. We now have a space, and we have a space where we can have a great big community forum, where we can have a memorial, but we can also invite other organizations to tap into it, whether it's through renting an office or leasing an office or whatever it is. So that is new for us, and we're just starting to figure it out, but I'd be interested. And I will say to you, our building is beautiful. We've got a great big skylight and great interior designers chose all the colors and all of that. Used to be a laundromat. And so it's this great, the first floor is pretty cool. Then you go up these stairs and there's some offices toward the back. And then there's this bizarrely wide hallway that would be the perfect width for washing machines and dryers. And how in the world will we use that? But we have this vision of maybe they could be like cubicles or desks that could, just pieces of wood that could fold over. And that could be for some sort of a techie thing. So that's, yeah.
Cool.
That'd
Yeah.
be great. You guys, I
Yep,
want to
yep.
thank you for coming down
Sure
here.
thing,
If you guys give
sure
them a
thing.
round of
Yeah.
applause. This is great.
Thank you.